Hello, Sunny Bonani! It's 8:04 Central African Time. It's a Monday night. It's Tier 2 racing here in the Breakaway Racing League. Welcome to the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona! Welcome to Spain. Welcome to race number 13 in this 16-leg season. So, yeah, we're very close towards the end of proceedings here. So a lot of storylines as far as the Tier 2 title is concerned. And, of course, the battle for promotion and relegation. I will be giving you a sense of how all of that looks. But to kick things off, it looks like we have a field of 11 to start with. They all have 18 minutes to put together a decent run as far as qualifying is concerned. If you're brand new to Formula One, well, the aim of the game is simple. 18 minutes to put in the fastest possible time on this circuit, and then the quickest time will guarantee that you start at the front of the pack, aka pole position. So they only get 18 minutes to give it their best shot. We'll see how many takes it will how many takes it will take, so to speak, for these drivers to make sure that they secure that pole position. But Tindo is here. He represents Team Alfa Romeo, and he leads the championship, 114 points. The only man in triple digits, the only one of two, second man being the 86er, driving for Haas. He's he's at 105 points, rather. Debo Croc is third in the standings, 94 points. I Am Lipo, what a season he's having, currently fourth. 86 points. He moved up one place from the previous race. Mshengu T is on a mission to get back to the top tier Breakaway League racing. Well, he's on 75 points. He's currently fifth, just 5 points clear of Context. That being a Justice. Of course, the Mercedes driver Context is P6. Man Ray is 7th in the standings, and former Tier 1 driver Spyzozo is close behind. 63 points is 8th. Sage Fig is 9th. Lungs, who came down to this tier following schedule clashes, is now down to 48 points. He's dropped one place since the previous race. Luddy is in this lobby, and he is 11th in the standings. Twitch is 12th. Sun Hashira is 13th, Estexas 14th, Marshy 15th, Selby Songo 16th, Kid K 17th, Liam 18th, and then of course we have the likes of Mfundo, former Tier 1 driver, a veteran of Tier 1 for such a long time, but he is under a lot of pressure. It looks like Liddy is ahead of him on the verge of beginning his first push lap. Mfundo currently sits second from bottom, having racked up just 13 points in as we start this race number 13. Let's see how his first push lap will go. On board with the Alpine driver in that rush towards turn 1. And turn 2 just comes rushing at you so quickly. Careful not to mess up your line. This is the long, winding, seemingly never-ending turn 3 into the braking zone of the fourth corner of this track. And Fundo is looking okay. No invalidation as yet, as he makes his way winding towards the left. That was turn 5 and 6, and he's going to hit the brakes into 7. Trying, of course, to be careful how hard he goes across those curves. They can be treacherous, but Mfundo is safe. Turn 9 sweeps into this short straight, and then he'll hit the brakes. Left-hander, turn 10, long looping left-hander into the 11, and then he'll just line it straight up towards the final traction-heavy zone to conclude his third and final sector. The final chicane, which will disappear from the main track this year, is, of course, still in play. Mshengu crosses the line first. 119.111 is the benchmark. Here comes Mfundo. 21.3, I beg your pardon, is only good enough for P2. So work to do for Mfundo. Looks like Tindo is next. will be next to come across the line. Behind Tindo is Estekta, who has yet to begin his hot lap attempt, so we'll see how he fares. Debo Croc is next after Tindo. We'll get a sense of how the Ferrari driver will fare. Here comes Tindo to challenge Mshengu's time. Will he? No! P2, 120.143. Close, but no cigar. Here comes Debo Croc. His Sector 2 split was in the 52 seconds. How will he wrap it up this time for Team Ferrari Scuderia? Carlos Sainz his home track, as is Fernando Alonso. 119.440 will tuck him snugly behind Mshengu T. So, work to do for Debo Croc as well. Espexa has just begun his push lap. So we will instead see how the likes of Lydia are faring. The answer to that is invalidated. So, sadly, he's not going to be one that we're going to watch too closely. Let's hop on board now with the Aston Martin driver, who knows what he needs to do here. Just needs to keep a consistent string of points finishes together, and then he could just make sure that he's not at risk of falling down into those playoff places, because the bottom three get automatically knocked, relegated down to tier 3, and then positions 17, 16, and 15 go through to the playoffs. Estexa is hovering at P14, so he's just one position away. If he drops the ball, he will slip into the playoff places and fight it out with the tier 3 drivers who want to get promoted to tier 2. 12 minutes of the session to go. Here comes Estexa towards the final part of his run in his push lap attempts. Ooh, wide of that turn in that final part of his Sector 3, as Fence in the comment section is cheering on Team Haas. That would be the 86er. Here comes the Aston Martin driver, P4, behind Tindo. So the times are really starting to trickle in here with each and every passing lap. Debo Croc is still out here, still running, still giving it a proper push. As it looks like Sij Fig is on the verge of beginning his initial push lap. Will Debo Croc improve by the time he gets to the end of Sector 1? We will know. The answer is not quite. He's about a tenth of a second down from his best Sector 1. So work to do for Debo Croc. Those tires aren't exactly new. He's been pushing them for 2 laps now. So this might yet be a chance for Debo Croc to find himself back into the reckoning. Perhaps just getting used to conditions out here. Meanwhile, the 86er weaves left and right, trying to get some temperature into those tires. Debo Croc is down about 2/100ths of a second. The 86er gets out the way as Debo is still pushing now towards the end of his run. We'll hop on board with Sij Fig. It looks like there's a slow-moving Selby Stango came unstuck coming out of the final corner. Greetings to everybody in the comment section. Crash is grinning from ear to ear, greeting in particular Red Bull drivers. Crash is, of course, probably, quite likely, the biggest Red Bull fan in Breakaway, as Sij Fig goes off track and invalidates his first push lap attempt. So, work to do for Sij Fig. We'll check in with him and see how he fares. Meanwhile, the 86er is making his way out of turn 3. A man who is in the hunt for the Tier 2 title goes purple through that first sector. 86er, 105 points. He's hunting down Tindo, who has racked up 114 points up until this point. Van Kobe is in the comment section saying the Tier 1 race here tomorrow will be interesting. Van Kobe is, of course, on his own fight back attempt to hang on to his Tier 1 spot. Van Kobe reckons he will be back in the reckoning for a decent point haul, as the 86er Sector 2 split is in the 52-second mark. Tapping on that analog, tapping on that steering wheel, trying to keep as much traction, as much balance as possible, is the 86er, carrying as much speed through this final sequence of tight corners, out past the final chicane, and here comes that white-hot Haas towards the line. 86er opens up that rear wing and goes 118.985. He is the quickest man on track with just under 9 minutes to go. The 86er sets the benchmark and goes clear of Mshengu for provisional pole position. Well, well, well. What about Luddy? What about Lipo? Now coming across the final sequence of corners as Man Ray, fondly known as the Time Trial King, is about to make his presence felt. Here comes Lipo across the line. 119.994, good enough for P4 with 8.5 minutes of this session to go. So a couple of responses to the beautiful time that the 86er just put in. The latest benchmark. Stage Fagan validated last time out. This time he crosses the line ahead of his teammate. 119.702. Letty, how's he doing? He had invalidated last time. We checked in on him. Let's hop on board now with the former Tier 1 driver who is pretty much in the middle of the standings. He is 11th. Racked up 47 points since the start of the season. He has under 8 minutes to stake his claim on a decent spot in the starting grid here as Man Ray secures his spot and guarantees his place on the starting grid. We will see how Man Ray will fare. We know how quick he is over a single lap. This is Liddy's answer to that invalidated first attempt. 120.665 P8 provisionally. For Liddy. Remember, the likes of Selby Sangos, Faizoso, Man Ray may yet have something to say in response to all these times that have already been put in place here. Tindo is giving it another go, but it doesn't look like he's pushing thus far. He's definitely moving significantly slower. Debo Croc is just happy just to treat this initial part of this quality session as a practice. He's just been going around and around and around, just getting used to the flow of the track. Liddy is on his in-lap, and Fundo has improved by 0.7 of a second, but that's only good enough to move him up one position, 120.244, and Fundo for Team Alpine, under pressure, is only P8 provisionally. Zozo has opted for a set of medium compound tires, perhaps just getting used to conditions out here before he slaps on those softs. We can only assume he's now making his way out of turn number 3 towards 4, concludes sector 1 with a 22.866 and loses a little bit of traction on turn 4, but he catches it. Thankfully for him, that lap is still valid, but he knows it's going to cost them perhaps a tenth or even more at the very least. He's now coming through 7 unscathed, touches the curves a little bit, and almost goes completely wide of the mark, but he's kept it together. He's now come down towards the short back straight. DRS is open in towards turn number 10. Looping left-hander. There's a slow-moving Alfa Romeo that he will pay not too much attention to. Zozo. With 5.5 minutes of this session to go, still keeping it together, but will not be happy with that huge little twitch of the steering that he had earlier on. Will cross the line, medium tires, interestingly, P10, 120.836. So everybody who has set a banker lap is in the 120s. Earlier on, Mfundo was just languishing at the 121 or so mark, but he did manage to improve. And Shengu giving it another go. Will he get an improvement with 5 minutes to go? Well, the answer is yes. He's improved by almost 0.2 coming to across the end of that sector 2. He's now making his way across the third and final sector, and look how much of the limits he has taken. He is absolutely on the limit. Shengu T wants to give the 86er a lot to think about. And here he comes now across the final sequence of the corners. It's a very good lap. It's a 118.439. And the 86er has to settle provisionally for P2. Man, oh man, oh man. Shengu laying it all down. He was on the limit. And he's on fire, setting the quickest time of the day thus far. Looking good in provisional pole position. How is Lipo doing? Well, it doesn't look like he's begun his push lap yet. So instead, we'll stay on board with the Aston Martin Novistexa on the limit, coming through the middle part of his second sector. Turn 9 was clean. Turn 10, you have to get this perfect to maintain as much speed down this back straight. He's still keeping it clean, is Texa, and he's improved by 0.3 of a second. So as it stands, he will be the 7th driver to breach that 1 minute 19 second barrier. And to just pile the pressure on everybody who was below him. But the question is, who will he pip ahead of him? Here comes now towards the final corner. With anticipation, he carries as much speed as he possibly can. It's a decent effort, you know. P5, 119.625. Tucks right between Tindo and Sage Fig, who is currently on an outlap. Tindo, meanwhile, is still out here on a fresh set of soft compound tires, improving by almost a tenth of a second, giving it a proper push. Let's see now how far on the limit Tindo will be in the second and final sectors of this track. Careful across the curves, and he keeps it tight. Turn 9 into turn 10, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Gear 6 into 7, and Tindo will complete his second sector with an improvement of a tenth and a half of a second. With just under 3 minutes of the session to go, this may yet be last chance for Loon for Tindo, and coming out there, he was improving, but he did invalidate. He will be kicking himself, will Tindo, and will probably have no choice but to, well, give it another push. I do wonder if he'll fit on a brand new set of soft compound tires. Spizozo is out of the session. I do wonder if it was in the pits. I do not see anything as far as the track map is concerned. So Spizozo will take no further part. P10 was the best that he could do. Interestingly, he was on those mediums the time that he had set. So he's under pressure as Spizozo, hoping that no one, none of Selby Sango or Man Ray, who's a quick over a lap, can overtake him. Sage Fig improves by almost half a second on his second push lap attempt. The 119.7 was the best that he could do. He's now got less than 2 minutes to improve on that drastically, and at the very least, he is doing a fairly decent job here. If, has a little bit of a moment coming over that curb quite harshly there. He tries to carry as much speed as possible into the final sequence of corners. Here it comes now towards the line, opens up that rear wing. It's going to be P3 provisionally, 119.144, almost breaching into those 118s. And Liddy had also improved, having a huge moment with the curves on that main straight. Bizarrely there. So let's see how Salvi Sango will fare. He comes across the line, 120.861. Not good enough to overtake the time that was set by Spizozo, who will take no further part in this session. We'll catch up with Liddy, who is now making his way in Sector 2. Nope, it doesn't look like he's pushing, as Crash remarks that there's been a lot of improvement. Kaboza was saying earlier, I don't get how the 86er is this fast when he flicks his steering into long corners. And just remarking on some of the forces that we had seen earlier, it doesn't look like Lipo is improving that much. And Fundo, Last Chance Loon, is now making his way across the second sector. He's on the verge of completing said sector. Comes now down the main straight, but sadly for him, he has not managed to improve. He's down almost 0.2 of a second. So sadly, doesn't look like Mfundo would be able to improve there. The 86er is trying to reclaim that provisional pole position as Mfundo has an almighty spin, forcing the 86er straight into the wall, down into the back straight. And he retires his car, trying to push, but he had a huge moment of panic responding to that spinning Alpine, and it wasn't Mfundo, it was Man Ray, who has now also retired out on the same stretch of track, meaning that it's a golden opportunity for M. Shangu. Here comes Debo Croc on a fresh set of tires. He was out and about, giving it a heck of a push on his practice laps earlier on, and now if he can put something together, it's a chance to overtake Sidgefig and the 86er, and barring a miracle, possibly even M. Shangu. Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to overtake M. Shangu, because coming through the Sector 2 split, he's improved by only about 0.5 of a second, which is nowhere near to be enough. But let's see how his final sector will go. It's Debo Croc. Now down towards the line, beautiful overhead helicopter shot that we get as he sends it towards the line, will cross the line, P4 improves marginally, but he will qualify behind the likes of Sage Fig. Lipo comes across the line to finish his attempt. Selby Sango, best that he could do was P11. So, Mshengu for Team Aston Martin is in pole position as the Aston Martin driver looks to claw his way back to the top tier of Breakaway League racing. He's definitely improved as the season has gone along, as Mshengu, trying to cut out those mistakes, but look at that. The gap between P1 and 2, about half a second. So beautiful performance by him. The 86er will start on the front row. Second row consists of Sage Fig and Bongani and Guenya. Debo Croc. Tindo will start in 5th from the Aston Martin of Estexa. Liddy is 7th and Fundo 8th. Lipo P9 from Spizoso in that 10th spot. Selby Sango 11th. Man Ray, who's quick over a single lap, could not put it together now. Not in this instance, not in Spain. So Man Ray gonna have to fight his way from the back of the pack. 3 sets of tires and still couldn't put in a complete lap. So Man Ray under pressure. If you've just joined us, welcome to Tier 2 of Breakaway League Racing. Remember to like the stream, and we want to hear all your reactions, all your comments in this here commentary section. Mandla was asking Zotal about Liddy's position, and I think Crash was speaking about Sage Fig, who was struggling in Tier 3, and now he was banging in solid qualifying laps. And yeah, a lot of improvement that we've seen over the seasons. So it's getting more and more competitive all throughout the Breakaway Racing League tiers. Tier 3 has some serious pace. If you'll tune in on this your channel at 9 o'clock, you should see some, well, very, very pacey drivers who are looking to give all of these guys a heck of a headache and just nudge them down a peck or two and get them relegated. Remember, as far as that promotion relegation battle is concerned, definitely Duke is rock bottom, and Fundo is 19th, Liam is 18th in the standings. Those three currently getting automatically relegated. Kid K is on the brink, is on those playoff spots for just to keep his spot in this tier. Selby Sango is 16th, Marshy is 15th. And as far as the promotion spot, Tindo tops the table. The 86er is 2nd. Debo Croc is 3rd. Lipo, Mshengu, and Context are currently occupying those positions to be in the playoffs versus the Tier 1 drivers. We will have 33 laps of racing around the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. KK sadly not racing here today. As I see some of you are asking in the comments section. It looks like a medium tire start for the top 3, and Debo Croc breaking that monotony, if you will. He's opting to go long initially, hard tires for him. Tindo is going aggressive initially, starting on those mediums. He will sense a potential opportunity to go for it versus Debo Croc. Estexa also on the hards, as is Liddy. And Fundo needs a performance, needs to claw his way out of that bottom 3. He has medium compound tires. Lipo has those hard tires, as does Spizoso, who did not put in a time on softs during the quali. Selby Sango and Man Ray are at the back of the pack, and they too have opted for those medium compound tires. Selby Sango, another veteran of the Breakaway Racing League as a whole, but has really struggled for form since dropping down to Tier 2. He's actually dropped a place since the previous race. He's on 27 points, has been leapfrogged in the standings by Marshy, who drives for Team AlphaTauri, but sadly Marshy is not here to race. Selby Sango, P16 of the driver standings, under an insane amount of pressure, as is, of course, this man, Mfundo, desperate for points. Mfundo's best points haul this season was claiming 6 points all the way in the first race. That was back in Baku. Feels like a lifetime ago, but he knows what he needs to do. He just needs to bring it home, as we see Liddy has had a moment in Sector 3, and he's now going to make up the back of the pack and find his way towards his proper place on the starting grid. Welcome to Tier 2 of Breakaway League Racing. Welcome to Barcelona. Selby Foundlow has made way for Liddy to find his place on the grid. Tindo is on the hunt for what would be his first trophy in the Breakaway, as far as Breakaway, his first league trophy, if you will. He is on the brink of winning the championship, is Tindo. But, of course, we still have this race and 3 more to go. All right, folks, we will have 33 laps of racing, 4 lights. The only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out, and we are racing in Barcelona. The 86er versus Mshangu, and the Haas drivers on the inside line on that rush towards turn 1. Hoping to get a better camera angle. The 86er versus Sage Fig. Mshangu fights back. He fights back into turn 1, and Sage Fig is right on the tail of the Aston Martin. The 86er goes off track, and will he lose positions? The answer is no. He hangs on by the skin of his teeth to P2. Here comes Tindo on the attack versus Sage Fig. He gets that move done, and the 86er is hanging on to the clutches of Mshangu, who builds a little bit of a gap. But Tindo, what a move coming out of the initial sequence of corners. He hangs on. Sage Fig looks like Liddy behind Sage Fig kicks up a little bit of dust, but the top 4 hang on to those positions with this first lap coming towards its conclusion. Liddy will be grinning from ear to ear, having fought his way down from the midfield, and he's now up to P5. Since this race has begun, let me give you a sense of those position changes. Liddy gaining 2, I Am Lipo gaining 3. Beautiful start for him as we hop on board with the McLaren driver down towards turn 10. Long looping left-hander, he keeps it together. Lap 1 is on the verge of concluding. They're all in formation, all in a line. Nobody on a vicious attack, if you will. The 86er will thank his lucky stars that he hung on to that P2 spot, considering how much pressure he was on. He went off track coming through turns 1 and 2, but he managed to hang on for dear life. And right now, Mshangu crosses the line, of course, 130.392. He is the early benchmark. Tindo will be grinning from ear to ear. He managed to get that move done. He is now hunting down the Haas driver in front of him. Oh, the 86er kicks up all sorts of sparks as his car bottoms out coming through those initial sequences of corners. The 86er much tighter line he takes compared to Tindo. Sage Fig will look to get that P3 spot right back, and he's going unchallenged at this point in time. Liddy is also looking all right. Lipo took a very tight exit as compared to the likes of Liddy and Mfundo. Mfundo, as a result, gets closer. He's gained 1 position as the Alpine driver since the start of this race. Selby Sango is struggling to stay in touch with the Alpine of Mfundo. A little bit of a gap between drivers in P7 and P8. Mfundo now comes through turn 10, and he uses up, it looks like he's draining that battery a little bit. It's down to about 70% before the end of the second lap. But Mfundo can smell blood here, possibly. He's right on Lipo's tail as they now slalom their way towards the final sequences of corners to end Sector 3. Brakes later, a little bit later to Mfundo, and inches closer. It looks like, is that Tindo? Yes! Tindo has ghosted out. It seems he may have had a huge collision because he's lost his front wing, thankfully for him, just before the pit lane. So that'll be Tindo's prospects possibly of a race win out the window. I do wonder, that might have taken place courtesy of a battle between the likes of Tindo and Sage Fig, but Tindo came off worse there. That happened off camera, and sadly for him, he racks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. His teammate Spizozo joins Tindo in the pit lane, and as we are now under virtual safety car conditions, yellow flags all throughout the track that have to slow down due the drivers to about 40% of their race pace. So, courtesy of that enforced pit stop by Tindo and Spizozo, he switches to a set of hard compound tires, and Spizozo switches to mediums. Looks like I Am Lipo gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car conditions. So he was too early on the throttle, was Lipo, way before the stewards waved the green flag, ending that virtual safety car. But look at that gap, 1.8 seconds between Mshangu and the 86er. Mshangu just needs to keep it clean here. We've seen in the earlier portions of this season Mshangu susceptible to unforced errors, which really ruined his race prospects. but right now he just needs to keep a cool head as he's firmly in control, in command of this race. There's an incident further down the track. Looks like Mshengu's teammate Espenza lost a position to Man Ray. We'll catch up with that battle later on. Mfundo, what happened there? It's a huge spin, coming unstuck. Oh man, and he's gonna tumble down the order and straight into the pit lane in lap number 4 of 33. Nightmare scenario. Liddy also in the pits early doors. I do wonder what may have happened to him as well. Liddy's making his way out as Mfundo comes in and gets a time penalty on top of that for speeding in the pit lane. Mfundo, desperate to claw his way out the bottom 3 of the standings, is not doing himself any favors, racking up time penalties, and Tindo is back in the pits. What is going on? And since he's back in the pits now, he will definitely be serving that time penalty, or is it a drive-through penalty? Yeah, looks like a drive-through penalty that Tindo is serving, so nightmare scenario for him. Meanwhile, back at the lead, back at the front of the pack, the 86er is slipping further and further away out of Mshengu's clutches. Even though he's at about 83% of his battery power, Mshengu has been using his battery much more aggressively, down to 40%, doing everything possible, everything necessary to cling on to that race lead. Sidgefig, meanwhile, is about 5 seconds behind the 86er, driving a lonely race. Daylight between Sidgefig and his teammate Lipo, and indeed the 86er ahead of him. Lipo has that time penalty to contend with as he comes into the pits. Selby Songo, who started all the way at the back of this pack, is now up to P4, taking full advantage of all of those penalties and all those early pits and unforced errors. But right now, he is going to need to keep it together and make sure that he does not fall foul of self-inflicted mistakes himself. Thibaut Croc is the person hunting him down as he goes on board with the Ferrari driver. It's lap number 5 of 33. Thibaut Croc on the attack, coming out of turn 3. And using a little bit of battery, trying to catch up to Selby Songo, whose, journey through turn 4 is wide of the apex, completely wide, giving Thibaut Croc all of the leeway, all of the leverage, all of the legroom, if you will, to inch closer and closer. Now within half a second of Selby Songo with a potential overtake that we have in prospect. Thibaut Croc hunting down the Red Bull driver. Ferrari versus Red Bull. Out of turn 10 comes Selby Songo, comes towards the right, lining up his entry, out of turn 9, I beg your pardon, lining up his entry into this turn 10. Thibaut Croc still hovering at the half a second mark. Lap 5 of 33. Thibaut Croc much braver on the brakes. Selby Songo perhaps running a lower downforce setup, which means he's a little bit, circumspect, a little bit shyer coming through some of those, downforce dependent corners. Now, lap number 6 from 33, Thibaut Croc is on the verge of attacking. He uses up his battery, he opens up that rear wing, he's got DRS. Selby tries to make his car as wide as possible, straight down the middle. Thibaut Croc goes on the outside. Who will be braver on the brakes? It is Selby Songo, who brakes later. A little bit of contact, and Thibaut Croc has to concede that position. Selby Songo fighting back like the wily old Tier 2 fox that he is. Fighting for the Isdema of former Tier 1 drivers. Selby Songo says, "You shall not pass as easily as you thought you would." Thibaut Croc is going to have to line it up all the way again. Meanwhile, as they do that, Thibaut Croc dives on the inside. Here comes Man Ray. Golden opportunity for him to make his presence felt in this battle for P4. Thibaut Croc is ahead of Selby Songo, but here comes Man Ray, now attacking the Red Bull driver. Selby Songo's not going to have to turn his attentions from the Ferrari to the Alpine behind him. Man Ray is not going to make it easy for him. Selby Songo goes a little bit wider, coming through turn 9. They all have DRS. Well, I should rather say Selby Songo and Man Ray. Will Man Ray go for it? No, he did not. Not in this instance. He's going to bide his time. Will Man Ray possibly thinking about the overtake on the main straight? It's lap number 6. If you've just joined us, it's Tier 2 action. Man Ray fighting to claw his way into the playoff spot, and the likes of Selby Songo fighting just to maintain their position in Tier 2, fighting not to get relegated. Remember to like the stream. We want to hear your thoughts, your reactions to everything taking place over here. Thibaut Croc is well and truly ahead of the pair behind him. Selby Songo using as much of his battery as possible. Looks like he has superior straight line speed compared to Man Ray, who has DRS but could not claw his way back into the reckoning before turn 1. Here he comes now into said turn, and as it looks like Selby Songo is not as comfortable through these sequences of corners, Man Ray now within 3/10 as lap 6 became lap 7, hunting down the Red Bull driver. He's going to want to get this done quickly. Will Man Ray, meanwhile, all the way down at the ranch at Sector 3, it looks like Spizoso and Tindo had a moment coming out of the final chicane. It's green flags now. Man Ray having a little bit of a moment. He thought about going for it. And as these two fight, Debo Crop will thank his lucky stars because he's built up a 1.8 second gap between P4 and P5. So Salvi Sango holding off Man Ray as he tries to cling on desperately to that P5 spot. Ooh, Man Ray, huge twitch coming out of turn 9, and he loses so much ground. Salvi Sango will grin from ear to ear. Man Ray almost having a moment of which, would have sent him straight into the wall, or at the very least facing the wrong way. Remember, the exit of turn 9 is where Man Ray came unstuck, and that is what ruined his final push lap, and that is why Man Ray started at the back of the track. So Man Ray is not comfortable at all through turn 9 particularly. He will have another opportunity now. Despite Salvi Sango's recent advantage, he's going to now have to fight back across this stretch of track. Man Ray with about half of his battery power remaining. Can he get this done on this stretch of track? It's going to be try number 3 for Man Ray, lap number 8, but no. Close, but no cigar. Oh, there he slams on the brakes. Coming out of turn number 2, took an initial tighter line through turn 3, and Man Ray is going to dive on the inside into turn 4. He thought about it, but he tucks back into Salvi Sango's slipstream. So these two former Tier 1 drivers giving us a sensational battle. Here comes Man Ray now. He thought about it towards the left-hander, but Salvi Sango shut the door firmly and said, "You shall not pass." So Man Ray having to fight for his life in lap number 8 of 33, but this battle has given all the initiative to Debo Croc, who is now almost 5 seconds ahead of this pair, even though they were battling just a couple of laps ago. Back on board with the Alpine driver, whose teammate is about 3 positions behind him, and Bundo, who's trying to fight I Am Lipo a little bit further down in the standings. Man Ray, try as he might, just can't get this done. Just really, really struggling. And now he's going to be even closer. 4/10 coming through the final corner. And he's aggressive once again. DRS uses up a little bit of his battery power. Debo, absolutely gone, says definitely Duke. And he's taken all the initiative as Debo. But here comes Man Ray! He thought about it, but Salvi Sango, braver on the brakes. He simply just brakes later than Man Ray is willing to. And that is pretty much that. So Man Ray's going to have to give it another go. The 86er is still hanging on to P2. But the gap between the top two hasn't gone beyond that 2.2 second mark. Mshengu earlier, remember, was much more aggressive on his battery usage. He's left at about 19 or so, 20% straight battery power, while the 86er is hovering at just under 40%. Sigfig is almost, 9.2 seconds behind the top 2 drivers. There's a yellow flag somewhere. It looks like it was Sector 3. Debo Croc is hunting down Sigfig. He's about 11 seconds behind. Man Ray finally getting the move done, but Salvi Sango is fighting back. Or can he? Oh, Salvi Sango almost going to the back of Man Ray as we were checking out the action at the front. Man Ray, this battle lasted almost 5 laps, but he finally got it done in Sector 2, the end of Sector 2, and he is now up to P5, and will now turn his attention onto Debo Croc, who has a 6.5 second advantage as Salvi Sango tries to fight his way now from P6. Liddy had to make an early pit stop. His hard compound tires are 8 laps old, and he is trying to fight off the likes of Lipo behind him. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch from Lipo, who has Mfundo to worry about behind him. He's down to about 20% of his battery power. What about Liddy? He's using his battery to stay out of the clutches of the McLaren ahead of him. The gap there is hovering at the 0.8 of a second mark, and if Lipo can get closer, of course, that'll be good news for Mfundo, who's also trying to claw his way back into this battle for P7. A lot of work for Mfundo to do. Behind him, by about 8.2 seconds, is Tindo, having a nightmare of a day. Tindo has already claimed a race win this season, but he's nowhere near that, nowhere near a podium place. He won all the way back in Japan, did Tindo, and he's now just fighting to stay in the points. Behind Tindo 32 seconds behind is his teammate, Spizozo. Estetza has had to have an early pit stop. He's at the back of the pack. Fresh set of soft compound tires. P12 for him. And, well, he's got a lot of catching up to do. It looks like he may have been lapped at this point, Estetza, because he is actually hunting down the Red Bull of Selby Sango, but of course Selby is all the way up in P6. So yeah, Estetza is really going to hope for a miracle at this point if he's going to have a say on the points at all. Right, back on board with I Am Lipo, who is still trying to make his move on Liddy down towards turn 1. The Williams driver will hang on to that P7 spot, and Fundo has finally caught up. He's within DRS of Liddy and, rather, of I Am Lipo. So the top on board with the Alpine driver, but look at that, he's used up pretty much all of his battery power just to stay in touch with these drivers in P7 and 8 respectively. Fundo also has that time penalty to contend with. So not exactly smooth sailing for the Alpine driver, who is desperate for points, as we have mentioned. He's second from the bottom of the standings. Estetza is out, retiring from this session. He has lost it, it seemed, on that back straight. There it is, as these cars run over that debris of the Aston Martin. Estetza, who is having a nightmare of a day out here, has brought out the full safety car. Oh man, oh man, oh man. And where are the leaders, I wonder? Man Ray and Selby Sango were at the perfect spot to take advantage of the safety car having come out. They will pit way, of course, before the likes of Mshengu, 86er, and Sage Fig, who still have to go all the way around. Well, great timing for the likes of Man Ray. He fits his hard tires, as does Selby Sango, running in P5 and 6. And, of course, behind them, I wouldn't be surprised to see more drivers come into the pits. Liddy started on hard, as did Lipo. They stay out. But it looks like Tindo behind them will opt to also come into the pits. Tindo, of course, has nothing to lose at this point. Man Ray, fresh soft, comes out P7. Selby Sango, P8. And Fundo is serving his time penalty before they switch those mediums to those hard compound tires. He is fitting them on, and Spizozo, all the way at the back of the pack, is going to use this opportunity just to catch up. He is running in P11. And Shangu and the 86er have just come in, and you saw how slow the 86er came across the pit entry line. He did not want to risk those penalties at all, as the Aston Martin driver fits his brand new hard compound tires. It was just whizzed past the pit straight. Well, it looks like the drivers who were lapped, they will now get an opportunity possibly to unlap themselves. 86er comes out. He's still P2, thankfully for him. Debo Kruk started on hards. He's still on those same compound of tires, so he's going along here. This safety car just not enough to get him to change his initial strategy, so he's gonna be P3, but on much older tires. Sage Fig behind him is going to try and catch up. He's got those fresh, hard tires. Liddy making his way towards the leading pack. You're now getting a sense of just how far ahead the leaders were. Liddy in P5, 42% behind the race. 42 seconds, I beg your pardon. He was behind the race leaders, and that is considering they've just come out of the pits as well. So the likes of Mshengu and the 86er really doing a fantastic job leading the pack here just before the safety car came out. Liddy running in P5. I Am Lipo yet to stop. P6 for him. Man Ray, P7. He's going to be in a good position relative to the drivers who have yet to pit, of course, as will Selby Sango and Mfundo. Tindo and Spizozo make up the back of the pack. The Alfa Romeo pair kind of dragging each other along, and Spizozo will be grateful for the safety car because he has had an opportunity then to make sure that he catches up at the race restart. Offense is asking, why on earth did Debo Kruk not pit? Interesting question. Lipo also taking the leaf out of Debo Croc. Bongani and Guenya's his strategy or his decision not to pit at this point. Lap 13 of 33. A lot of racing yet to go in this Tier 2 race, the 13th race of the season. Caboza says Tindo and Spizoso are lucky that they can unlap themselves. Don Radico says, well, it won't last. Going along with the hearts, that advantage, it will not last, not that long. 12 lap old already. It's going to be very, very difficult as Escletza, who sadly brought out the safety car, having crashed out, leaves the lobby, leaves the session. So those older tire runners are really going to suffer at the race restart. Of course, it's hard enough trying to make sure that your hard tires are warm enough at a race restart. They're going to have to contend with that and the aging compounds as compared to the drivers around them. So, once again, in prime positions are the 86er and Mshengu leading the pack. If you've just joined us, well, the top two are pretty much the two drivers who were in who were the front row after qualifying. Thank you for joining us. Remember to like the stream if you haven't already. It's Tier 2 action as the season makes its way towards its conclusion. After tonight, just 3 races remaining. So just 3 more opportunities after tonight to secure as many points as you need to A, guarantee your promotion, B, your playoff spots, or C, guarantee your place in the second tier. After tonight, Tier 2 goes to Mexico. And then 2 more races. Now look at that. The 86er going for it. He was pushing as much as he can. We'll get the word from race control to see when the safety car will come in. And as I say that, race control says, well, it's going to be now. Safety car on the verge of coming in. The 86er better make sure he's not too far behind Msengu. Interestingly, Debo Croc 2 seconds behind the top 2. Is Debo already struggling with the 86er? He is not letting Msengu get away. He's right on his tail. Is the 86er? He is just waiting for that golden opportunity to send it. Msengu is biding his time, and he sends it, and the 86er perhaps caught napping slightly. Look at that gap, 8 tenths coming in that rush towards turn 1. The 86er was lining it up, but now he's under attack. Debo Croc on older tires is hunting down the 86er, but he's not going to be close enough, so he tucks back into the slipstream. Clean through turn 1, go the top 3. Debo Croc is still hanging on. Sidge Fig hunting down Debo. Meanwhile, here comes Liddy on the outside of Sidge Fig, but Liddy goes too far off, or is it? They're side by side coming through turn 3, and Liddy is ahead. He's up to P4 coming into turn 4, and Sidge Fig on the fresher tires has been overtaken by Liddy, who wanted to stay out. And look at that, beautiful overtake on the outside by Liddy. Sidge Fig is now fighting back, trying to fight back as Liddy hangs on for dear life. Meanwhile, at the front, the 86er is back within DRS as he comes out of these sequences of corners, and Liddy, what an overtake by him on those aging tires. Sidge Fig and Lipo are now running right behind each other as they come down towards the back straight, and on the attack goes Selby Sango attacking Lipo on the outside, but he's not close enough. Lipo makes contact with his teammate, and both McLarens go spinning and tumbling down the order. Lipo now down to P7. He's been overtaken by Manray, and Selby Sango. Tindo is looking to take a bite of the McLaren, and Sidge Fig will not be happy with that at all. Lipo, Sidge Fig making huge contact there. And of course, the biggest winner at the restart is Liddy, who's now up to P4. Man, oh man, here comes Tindo on the outside of the stricken McLaren. Tindo versus Spizoso. Is this going to be a repeat of what happened back in Baku when these two pretty much crashed into each other and negated their race completely? Spizoso, straight line speed, is looking very good. He's got the inside line going into turn 1. Will Tindo fight back? Who will break later? The answer is Tindo hangs on to that P7 spot. Beautiful fighting now at the restart of this race. I tell you what, all through the midfield and indeed at the front of the pack, but try as you might, the 86er is still behind by almost 2 seconds. So Mshengu's restart has gone absolutely perfectly. The 86er is going to have to hope for a mistake from Mshengu or, unforced errors. A mistake or perhaps another safety car or, something dramatic to bring himself back into the reckoning for a possible race win here. Lap number 16 of 33. Welcome to Spain, folks. What an insane, sensational race we've had thus far. And whoa, what happened to Mshengu? What the heck happened to? He's off the track. Mshengu's off the track. It's gifted the race lead to the 86er. Again, unforced error. Mshengu tumbling down the order. He was in firm command, in firm control of this race. But now he is possibly on the brink of being out of the points completely. Mshengu, man, unforced error. He was in clear error, but right now finds himself on the brink of being out of the points completely. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Sig Fig and I Am Lipo's ghosted at the back of the pack. The 86er leads this race in lap 17 of 33. He didn't have to fight for it. He just watched the man ahead of him spin out. Mshengu, man, oh man, oh man. He will be absolutely heartbroken at that point. He was in firm control of proceedings, but he is out. And the 86er is now in firm control on 4-lap-old hard compound tires. Look at that. Debo Croc, Liddy. They still have to come into the pits. So the only person on comparable tires is this man, Selby Songo. He's almost 9 seconds behind the race leader. Tindo goes on the attack versus Bramanre, gets that move done. Does Tindo, and now looks like Mfundo was thinking about fighting with Spizoso ahead of him. It's Alpine. It's Alpha Alpine running in that order from P5 down to P8. Man, oh man, oh man. What an insane sequence of battles we have over here. Ahead of Mfundo, Spizoso is thinking about going on the attack versus Manre. Spizoso does go on the attack. They're going wheel to wheel down towards turn 1. Spizoso is absolutely wheel to wheel. Selby Sango at the same time attacks Tindo. Who will get the line? It looks like Spizoso has to concede and relent. What about Selby Sango? He also could not get that move done on Tindo. Here comes Spizoso on the outside of Manre, but it's not going to be close enough, or will it? Both of the Alpines, it's almost 3 wide to make a little bit of contact coming through this right-hander. And, Fundo was going absolutely aggressive through that sequence of right-handers, but he could not get that move done at this particular point. He's now going to have to hang back a little bit, but man, this DRS train serving up battle after battle, and Mshengu licking his wounds now from P9 is also going to hope to have a say on this year battle. Now, who's that got off? It's the 2 LPs, Manre and Mfundo. No, it wasn't Fundo, and Spizoso instead, who went completely off track. Oh man, what is going on in Spain? That long straight saw a couple of cars go absolutely haywire. It was Spizoso, I beg your pardon, but now he is now completely out of the reckoning for this battle. This beautiful DRS train serving up battle after battle here, and look, this time it's going to be Manre going for it, possibly into turn 1. Spizoso racks up a 3-second time penalty for track limit incursion. Here comes Mshengu, who has gone for it, and he manages to get that move down on Manre. Will Manre fight back? He'll have the inside line through the right-hander. No, he's not good. He's not close enough. Or is he? They almost make contact coming out of turn number 3, and it's going to be close, but no cigar for Manre. Try as he might, he is not close enough to get that move done. So many battles throughout this midfield, and Manre has to ease off on those brakes as he almost went into the back of Mshengu. Behind him, of course, is his teammate Mfundo. Mshengu goes heavy on the curbs compared to Manre, but once again, this dramatic stretch of track which has seen drivers really struggle. They all want to tuck into the slipstream being led by Selby Sango. But Selby, whose defense has been stout pretty much from the beginning, hangs on to that P5 spot. It may not yet be for long. Manre senses an opportunity on the inside of the Aston Martin, but he is much more cautious on the brakes, and Mshengu manages to hang on there. And now Mshengu senses a possible overtaking opportunity. He switches from the inside to the outside, tucks back into Selby Sango's slipstream, down into the main straight. He's making sure that he's getting as much of a tow as possible. He's got that rearway open. Here comes Mshengu. He's got the inside line going into turn one. They're wheel to wheel. Mshengu's marginally ahead. Will break later. They make. He spins Mshengu after making a little bit of contact, and he is off the track. And Mshengu is down to P8. Here comes Spaizoso to overtake the Aston Martin driver, whose day has been nothing short of a nightmare after a dream qualifying session. Meanwhile, Mfundo is on the attack versus his teammate. Mfundo side by side. They almost make contact coming through the right-hander, and Mfundo will go through ahead of Bermanri, aka Time Trial King, who today is the reigning king of overtakes and being overtaken, as lap 19 has already gone to lap number 20 of 33. Drama in Spain. If you've just joined us, welcome to Tier 2 Action Breakaway League Racing. Selby said no, says Zotal in the comment section. Will he have enough to say no this time? Because Mfundo, who is desperate for points, was thinking about going on the outside of Selby Sango, but once again, he holds firm. He is stout. Remember, Selby Sango last time out kept Man Ray at bay for so long. Little bit of contact. Mfundo made contact with Selby Sango. That might be it as far as his P6 spot is concerned. Here comes Man Ray on the inside of his teammate. Now he goes stout. Little bit of contact that these two are making. Who will come out ahead out of this sequence of corners? Oh man, it is drama out here in Tier 2 action, and Mfundo is going to go for it on the inside of his teammates as we getting a sequence of migrated hosts. So I do hope that this lobby does not glitch. Selby Sango is ahead, of course, of this Alpine pair, and as these two fight, it's giving Selby Sango all the breathing room that he needs. And Mfundo has fallen out of Selby Sango's DRS, which is such great news for the Red Bull driver. This midfield has been absolutely dramatic. Selby Sango has ghosted himself out of this lobby. Perhaps a network disconnection there. Selby, Spaizoso ghosted out, sadly. So he is going to get overtaken. Inati says glitch. I do hope that despite the host migration, that this lobby is still good enough to keep things intact. Mfundo and Manri have given us some fantastic intra-team battling. And they're still keeping it together in lap 21. Everyone is getting disconnected, says that Don Rabico. Yeah, Tindo is also disconnected. Debo Croc, lap 21 lap old mediums finally coming into the pits. Selby Sango will now come into P2. I really hope that this race is somehow still legitimate. I'm Justice says a lot of people left. We have to retry the race at the end of the season. I'm just making sure how many drivers are still on track. 86er is still in, as is Selby Sango. Tindo got disconnected. Liddy is still here. Mfundo is still in the race, as is Man Race by Zozo Ghosted, as did Mshengu. Sagefig is still here. Debo Croc is still in the reckoning, running P10 currently. And Lipo is also out of the race as things stand. Selby Sango has left. It does sadly look like we may yet have a glitched situation here. It's such a pity, folks. It really is such a pity if this race is going to have to be run again from scratch, because it was so beautifully dramatic. Mispano says this is Mshengu's saving grace. If that is the case, that it will be run once again. But folks, do stay tuned. Liddy is still here. He's still running. But it may yet be a glitch, because from our perspective, he's not even in the pits. And already it says that he is only now making his way into the pits. So just stay tuned, folks. I'm going to consult with race control and race directors in the background, just to make sure that everything is still on track. I'll be right back. Man, spirit thought for the 86er, who pretty much drove the perfect race of his season, but sadly for him, lobby glitch issues costing him what would have been a memorable race win. Definitely one of his more memorable, superior drives. Yeah, folks, just a quick update. They were just making sure in the background, trying to ascertain whether or not the affected drivers could possibly rejoin. So I'll give you an indication of whether or not that will proceed as soon as possible. In the meantime, the Alpines are running in formation, P5 and 6 respectively. What a beautiful battle they had, both between themselves and with Selby Sango, as the 86er in the lead of this race picks up the fastest lap. Justice says invites are being sent, but rejoining may be tricky. Of course, Justice is probably hoping and praying that this race gets raced once again, giving him a second bite of the cherry. But of course, we do need to make sure that every driver is not severely affected by such network issues, which are known to, well, pretty much completely compromise people's prospects. And it looks like even the likes of Man Ray is out, and Fundo shouldn't be running P2 as things currently stand. So yeah, we'll just keep on checking in with the race control. All right, folks, thank you so much for your patience. I have just got word from the race control, and sadly, because of this unscheduled and unwelcome glitch, this super entertaining Tier 2 race in Spain will have to be replayed. Sadly, the glitch affected too many drivers, and this race result cannot be counted as official. So yeah, the likes of definitely Duke and Justice and Estexa, who crashed out, will get a second bite at the cherry, as will of course the likes of Mshengu, who was so severely affected even before the glitch. So really sad to announce that, folks, but we will pick this up at a later point. It is coming, of course, towards the end of the Tier 2 season, which means that of course results are so crucial. And just catching up with the last of your comments, Zotal saying, of course, this was so unfortunate. And Caboza was just having a moment chatting to Ms. Bono. And yeah, thank you, everybody, for all your comments. Don Rabico, Ms. Bono, Zotal, Mandla, Inati, Offense, and Crash, of course. And yeah, I do hope that I did not miss anybody else. That will be the end of our broadcast. And this race will be picked up at another point. But please do tune in. I believe Tier 3 might be racing at this here track. So let's all move over. If you click on our icon, our channel icon, you will see that the Tier 3 race in Spain is currently live. So let's all check that out. And I know that there are some very, very talented drivers who will wreak havoc once they get up to this tier. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Tune in to Tier 3 right now and Tier 1 tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Thank you and good night.